We touched briefly on the fill properties. Let's talk about them at length. We'll go into properties. The first thing you see are the square shapes on the top and the round shapes. This is the size of your brush, and depending on the stitch you choose, which can be either a fill stitch, a stippling stitch, or a decorative fill stitch that was either added as part of an upgrade or the first 10 were built into the 8550, I can choose that stitch. Now, if I leave it at the square brush type and use the brush, I am drawing those stitches on the screen. If I choose next, I can go to preview and I can see that I have that pattern that will be applied and would stitch out if I choose set for the embroidery screen. Right now I want to return and clear my screen. Going back into the region fill properties, the easiest way to talk about this is to use some shapes. We have our basic shapes, which can either be outline only, fill only, or outline and fill. We have closed shapes that were added as part of an upgrade or were built into the 8550. And then we have what are called open shapes, but there are also some closed shapes. So I'll choose this little leaf. To size that leaf, while it's selected, I'll choose size, and I want to reduce this proportionally till it's rather small. We'll leave it at that and say OK. I'll duplicate it by touching copy and move another copy of it down on my screen. It's on my it's on my clipboard, so I'll just paste it to the screen. And we'll talk about the 3 different fill types. So we'll go back into the fill types, and for the first leaf, we'll use the region fill property and say OK. Using the bucket, we'll touch the inside of that leaf and fill it. We'll go back to the properties, we'll select stippling, another color, and we'll fill the second leaf. For the third leaf, we decided that we want to add one of the decorative stitches. We'll choose select, and we'll choose this pattern and say OK. We'll choose a different color, and we'll fill that area. If we go to next and we look at the preview, the first thing you notice is that there is an outline around these 2 decorative type fills, and then there, if you cannot see it, there is also a small outline around the other leaf. We'll go back and change the outline stitch to something that we like, so let's return. We'll go into the line properties, choose a zigzag stitch, and we'll just use the brown color for all these and say OK. And using the bucket, we'll touch the outline of each leaf. Now we'll choose, at this point we probably want to save our design if we like it, so we'll save it into the pocket on our machine. If I had a USB stick, I can save it to the USB stick. I'll choose next. Right now the top leaf is selected. You can see a little running line around the margin of the leaf, and I can change the stitch angle if I wish by choosing manual. Right now it's at 45 degrees, and I'll change that to 60 and set. I can also change the stitch density, the pull compensation, and whether or not there is an underlay. For this type of fill, I always like to have an underlay. I'll choose set. For the next leaf, what I see is the stitch length, which is 2.0 millimeters for the stippling stitch, and I also see the distance. I'm going to leave the stitch length alone, but I'll change the distance between it and make it smaller because this is a small design. And the next option is to choose the distance from the outside border of that design. I don't want to change it, so I'll choose set. On the last sleeve, I can increase or reduce the size of decorative stitches by using this. I'll reduce it down to 50 and choose set. I can change the stitch angle, which sometimes you might want to do that. You need to preview it to see if you like the appearance of it, because you may get more of a particular pattern, and particularly in a small shape. Right now, I'll leave it at 0. This is the outside line that we saw earlier. If I want to have it close that shape, since I have a zigzag, I'm going to turn it off and choose set. Let's preview it. Assuming I like the appearance of these leaves, I would save it into the pocket. And then I would choose set, and at this point it will tell me that it's going to become an embroidery design, and I won't be able to edit it anymore. I'll choose OK. I'm now on the embroidery screen. If I do want to make any edits to this, I can do so at this time. Assuming that I don't, I'll go into embroidery, and I'm ready to embroider this design.